The very first thing you need to do to build your wealth is build up your credit score. When I turned 18, I got a credit card to do this exact thing. And believe me, credit cards are very underrated. Some people might tell you that having a credit card is a bad thing and it'll just lead to debt. Well, let me tell you, those people are wrong. Later in life, your credit score is crucial because if your credit score isn't good, you're f***ed. You want a car, a house, a boat? A houseboat? You better have a great credit score so you don't get stuck with an extremely high interest rate. Higher interest rate means higher monthly payment. And how are you gonna build your wealth if you're paying hundreds of dollars to some loan every month? So here's the simple strategy you need to take when getting a credit card to actually build your credit. First, you gotta get a credit card. I recommend Discover as your very first credit card. They're a great company, but you could really go with any company. Then once you get that card, you'll use that credit card and only make a small purchase on it every single month. This ensures that your credit utilization, how much money you actually spend on the card versus your credit limit, is low. Then go ahead and set up auto pay to pay the entire credit card bill at the end of each month. And if you do all that in no time, you'll see your credit score skyrocket. Now there are more credit card strategies out there to build your credit score, but I'll talk about those in later videos. Before we go on to the second way to build your wealth in your 20s and 30s, I want to shout out the sponsor for this video, the like button down below. It's free to hit and it definitely helps me out. Okay, next up, one of the best ways to build long-term wealth, especially if you start early in your 20s and 30s, is start investing in a retirement account. Now, most people will fall into one of these two scenarios. You have someone that works for an employer that offers a 401k and a 401k match. So let's say I show up to work and I'm working at this corporation. In the job offer they gave me, they say I get up to 5% matching in my 401k. That means me as an employee, I would have to contribute at least 5% of my salary to get my employer to match that amount as well. Meaning 10% of what my yearly annual salary is being contributed to the 401k. 5% from my own money and 5% from my company. Now, in my opinion, this is something you need to do if your employer offers a 401k match at all. Because look, if you're not contributing at least up to that matching percentage, you're just losing out on free money. Now, most 401ks are pre-tax, meaning your contributions aren't actually taxed as you put them in, but when you take them out when you retire, that's when they'll get taxed. Some employers and other programs offer a Roth 401k, meaning they'll tax you up front and then you don't have to pay taxes later on. And that's actually something I do. Now I'll give you the second scenario. Either you're self-employed or you work for an employer that does not offer a retirement or a 401k account. In this case, my advice is to go with a Roth IRA. Now this is an individual retirement account and this is something anybody can get. As I said before, Roth means that you are taxed up front, but then when you take that money out as you retire, you are not taxed on it. Now, I won't go into the nitty-gritty on why retirement investing is great. All I need to tell you is investing in retirement accounts up front when you're younger yields so much more than if you were to start later on. It's this thing called compounding interest. Basically, the more money you put in as you're young, it'll build and snowball over time, and you'll end up being a millionaire by the time you retire. All right, way number 3, how you can build your wealth in your 20s and 30s, and that's gaining valuable job experience. Now, this might seem obvious. You might say, Nick, yeah, I've got a job. That's how I make most of my money. But I did some digging. I did some real digging on this. If you're at a job for 2 years and you're building up skills, more likely than not, you can find another job that's way higher paying with those similar skills. Now, I brought this up in my last video, but there was a study done where basically employees that move companies every 2 to 3 years make exponentially more money in the long run compared to someone that stays at the same company for a long time. Now, I'll be short on this point, but basically the more job experience and expertise you gain in a certain area, it makes you more marketable to a lot more employers, especially in these times where the job market is crazy and everyone is working from home. So just remember, sharpen those skills and you're bound to make more money. All right, so the fourth way to build your wealth in your 20s and 30s, that is having no bad debt. By bad debt, I mean debt such as credit card debt or any personal loans you might have taken out. Now, an example of a good debt is student loans. So student loans are a bit different because a lot of us out there have gone to college, have a bunch of student loans. Basically, my advice to you is to keep paying down those student loans. If you can pay more than your minimum monthly amount, do so. The faster you can pay off those student loans, the faster you'll be able to save more money and invest more money in the long run. Now let's backtrack to bad debt for a second. The number one bad debt is credit card debt, and that is something you should never have. Seriously, avoid it at all costs because credit card interest rates are the highest. Like seriously, 20, 30% sometimes. Once you start accruing interest on a credit card balance, there's no coming back from it. So just put that in the back of your head, no bad debt, no credit card debt. Be sure to pay off those credit cards in full every single month, and you'll never have a problem with this. And that brings me on to my last point, the fifth way to build your wealth. And that's acting like you're broke. All right, by that, I really mean budget your money wisely. This is something that seems obvious, but a lot of people do not do. Again, I'm not telling you to cut out all your coffee or all your Starbucks every morning. You really need to take a look at what you're spending and really ask yourself, is this thing or service that I'm buying really worth it in the long run? Are there things you can cut out easily that won't really affect your life? Any money you can save while budgeting, you could put that money either towards savings or towards an investment account. And doing those things will build and accumulate your wealth over time. I heard a great quote the other day. And yes, it was from TikTok. I don't remember who said it, but it was someone that was on there saying you could make $100,000, spend 80 grand every single year, and that's 20 grand left over. But let's say I get someone making only 60,000, that's a fraction of 100,000, but they're able to only spend 30,000 a year. They're saving 30 grand, and that's 10 grand more than the person making 100. Long story short, if you're smart with your money and you can budget well, and you're really dedicated on saving and investing money, you can build your wealth way faster than the normal person. All right, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like down below, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.